Shalom, shalom, everybody. Shalom, everybody. Shalom. We here. One of the last two chapters, one of the last two laws of the 48 Laws of Power by Robert Greene, a Joyce Elford's book. We're going to see what's up, man. We're going to get this out the way. We're going to try to get this thing out the way. Two more laws, 47 and 48. And then on to Dr. Sherazad Ali's books. And I got two more for the repertoire. So after we read those, we got the Urban Survival and Things Your Parents Should Have Told You. I think both of these are going to be good. But we'll get to those another day. And before we read those, we're going to read the Black Woman's Guide, or the Black Man's Guide to Understanding the Black Woman, or the Black Woman's Guide to Understanding the Black Man. My bad. We'll go with that one. But anyway, let's get it. 40 Laws of Power by Robert Greene, of Joyce Elford's book. Law 47. Do not go past the mark you aim for. In victory, learn when to stop. Learn when to stop. Judgment. The moment of victory is often the moment of greatest peril. In the heat of the victory, arrogance and overconfidence can push you past the goal you have aimed for. And by going too far, you make more enemies than you defeat. Do not allow success to go to your head. There is no substitute for strategy and careful planning. Set a goal, and when you reached it, stop. Transgression of the law. Transgression of the law. In 559 BC, a young man named Cyrus gathered an immense army from the scattered tribes of Persia and marched against his grandfather, Astyages, king of the Medes. He defeated Astyages with ease. He had himself crowned king of Media and Persia and began to forge the Persian Empire. Victory followed victory in quick succession. Cyrus defeated Croesus, ruler of Libya, or Lydia, then conquered the Ionian Islands and other small kingdoms. He marched on Babylon and crushed it. Now he was known as Cyrus, the Great, King of the world. For all my Bible scholars. Cyrus the Great, King of the world. Persians and Medes. After capturing the riches of Babylon, Cyrus set his sights on the east, on the half-barbaric tribes of Masagati. A vast realm on the Caspian Sea, a fierce warrior race led by Queen Tamiris. The Masagati lacked the riches of Babylon, but Cyrus decided to attack them anyway, believing himself Superman and incapable of death. The Masagati would fall easily to his vast armies, making his empire immense. But in 1529 BC, then Cyrus marched to the wide river. Araxes, the wide river Araxes, gateway to the kingdom of the Masagati. As he set up camp on the western bank, he received a message from Queen Tamiris, King of the Medes. She told him, "I advise you to abandon this enterprise, for you cannot know if in the end it will do you any good. Rule your own people and try to bear the sight of me ruling mine. But of course, you will refuse my advice, as the last thing you wish for is to live in peace. Thamyris, confident of her army's strength and not wishing to delay the inevitable battle, offered to withdraw the troops on her side of the river, allowing Cyrus to cross its water safely and fight her army on the eastern side, if that was his desire. Man, I wouldn't have did that. I would not do that. You don't never want to fight with a river to your back. You don't want to fight with water to your back, because if you get pushed back, there's nowhere to go. But in the river. Cyrus agreed, but instead of engaging the enemy directly, he decided to play a trick. The Masagadi knew few luxuries. Once Cyrus had crossed the river and made his camp on the eastern side, he set the table for an elaborate banquet, full of meats, delicacies, and strong wine. Then he left his weakest troops in the camp and withdrew the rest of the army to the river. A large Masagadi detachment soon attacked the camp and killed all of the Persian soldiers in the fierce battle. Then, overwhelmed by the fabulous feast that had been left behind, they ate and drank to their heart's content. Later, inevitably, they fell asleep. The Persian army returned to the camp that night, killing many of the sleeping soldiers and capturing the rest to defeat. Now listen to me, and I will advise you for your own good. Give me back my son and my country with your forces intact, and be content with your triumph over the third part of the Masagadi. If you refuse, I swear by the sun, our master, to give you more blood than you can drink. For all your gluttony, Cyrus scoffed at her. He would not release her son. He would crush these barbarians. The queen's son, seeing he would not be released, could not stand the humiliation, and so he killed himself. The news of her son's death overwhelmed Thamyris. She gathered all the forces that she could muster in her kingdom, and whipping them into a vengeful frenzy, engaged Cyrus's troops in a violent and bloody battle. Finally, the Masagadi prevailed. In their anger, they decimated the Persian army, killing Cyrus himself. Damn. Excuse me. After the battle, Thamyris and her soldiers searched the battlefield for Cyrus's corpse. When she found it, she cut off his head and shoved it into a wineskin full of human blood, crying out, Though I have conquered you and live, yet you have ruined me by treacherously taking my son. See now, I fulfill my heart. You have your fill of blood. After Cyrus's death, the Persian Empire quickly unraveled. One act of arrogance undid all of Cyrus's good work. No one to stop, I guess. Its once capital of Nineveh, Assyrian capital of Nineveh. Boys asking me where the Bible at, but if they listen to what's being read, the Bible is referenced all throughout this. It's biblical history. Nineveh, that's what Jonah didn't want to go. The Persians and the Medes, they conquered Israel. There was a lot of Cyruses in there in the Apocrypha, along with Alexander the Great. It's many people. It's many things that's in this book that refer to the Bible. Moses, they talk about Moses. They talk about, I want to say Solomon. It's a lot of things. You just have to listen. The powerful Assyrian Empire had been totally destroyed. Its once splendid capital of Nineveh, but ruins in the sand. The Assyrians had suffered this fate because they had pushed too far, destroying one city after another until they lost sight of the purpose of their victories and also of the cost. They overextended themselves and made many enemies who were finally able to band together and destroy them. Cyrus ignored the lesson of Assyria. He paid no heed to the warnings of oracles and advisors. He did not worry about offending the queen. His many victories had gone to his head, clouding his reason. Instead of consolidating his already vast empire, he pushed forward. Instead of recognizing each situation as different, he thought each new war would bring the same result as the one before, as long as he used the methods he knew: ruthless force and cunning. Understand, in the realm of power, you must be guided by reason. In the realm of power, you must be guided by reason. To let the momentary thrill or an emotional victory influence. Come here. Good Lord. Get the wipes right there. Don't touch the bed. Get the wipes. Hold on. Let me wipe your face first. Hold on. It was good? Get it out. Good Lord, it's all over your hands. You got ravioli everywhere.
I did it myself. What's man?
I don't know. He was in the front with you.
For me?
Yeah.
I gotta find him.
Hold on. Let me finish cleaning. Give me your other hand. Let me clean your other hand. Hold on.
Hey.
It's all over your arm. Golly.
My arm. You golly. Golly. Golly.
Yeah, golly. It's everywhere. Oh, man, I can imagine man hands.
I gotta find him.
You gotta find him. Tell him don't be touching nothing. Tell him bring his little grubby hands. There you go. There you go. Let me see your hands. Let me see your hands.
Sorry.
Oh, you good. You've been using your fork. You good. Good job. Good job, my boy.
I just wanted to swim.
Yeah, that's good.
I wanted to end with the water.
You good for right now. Go finish. If y'all done eating, that's good. Good job. After I'm done, all right? After I'm done reading. Understand, in the realm of power, you must be guided by reason. To let a momentary thrill or an emotional victory influence or guide your moves will prove fatal. When you attain success, step back. Be cautious. When you gain victory, understand the part played by the particular circumstances of the situation, and never simply repeat the same actions again and again. History is littered with the ruins of victorious empires and the corpses of leaders who could not learn to stop and consolidate their gains. Observance of the law. No single person in history has occupied a more delicate and precarious position than the king's mistress. She had no real or legitimate power base to fall back on in times of trouble. She was surrounded by packs of envious courtiers eagerly anticipating her fall from grace. And finally, since the source of her power was usually her physical beauty, for most royal mistresses, that fall was inevitable and unpleasant. King Louis XV of France began to keep official mistresses in the early days of his reign. Each woman's good fortune rarely lasted more than a few years. But then came Madame de Pompadour, who, when she was a middle class child of 9 named Joanne Pizon, had been told by a fortune teller that she would someday be the king's favorite. This seemed an absurd dream, since the royal mistress almost always came from the aristocracy. Jeanne, nevertheless, believed herself destined to seduce the king, and doing so became her obsession. She applied herself to the talents the king's favorite had to have: music, dancing, acting, horseback riding, and she excelled. That's something right there to think of. She applied herself to the talents the king's favorite had to have: the king's favorite had to have: music, dancing, acting, horseback riding. And she excelled in every one of them. As a young woman, she married a man of the lower nobility, which gave her the entry into the best salons in Paris. Word quickly spread of her beauty, talent, charm, and intelligence. Jean Payson became close friends with Voltaire, Montesquieu, and other great minds of the time. But she never lost sight of her goal she had set for herself as a girl, to capture the heart of the king. Her husband had a chateau in the forest where the king would often go hunting, and she began to spend a lot of time there, studying his movements like a hawk. She would make sure he would happen to come upon her while she was out walking in her most alluring dress, or riding in her splendid coach. The king began to take note of her, making her gifts of the game he caught in the hunt. In 1744, Louis's current mistress, the Duchess of Châteauroux, died. Jean went on the offensive. She placed herself everywhere he would be, at masked balls at Versailles, at the opera, wherever their paths would cross, and wherever she could display her many talents: dancing, singing, writing, coquetry. Coquetry. Let's see what that means. Coquetry. If I'm pronouncing it right. Coquetry. Let's see. I don't think it got nothing to do with birds, chickens. Cock. C-O-Q. And it's not in here. I'll go with that. Cocketing. Let's see. Cocket. To flirt. Coquet. Copying. Coral. Coquetting. I think it's coquetry. Whenever she could display her many talents: dancing, singing, writing, coquetry, or flirting, dancing, singing, or flirting, coquetry. And coquetry. The king finally succumbed to her charms, and in a ceremony at Versailles in September of 1745, this 24-year-old daughter of the middle-class banking agent was officially inaugurated as the king's mistress. What up, Precious? Coquetry. She was made her a marquise. From now on, she would be known as the Madame de Pompadour. Huh? You talking about, Precious? Yeah, that coquetry. The king was a man whom the slightest feeling of boredom would oppress out of proportion. Madame de Pompadour knew that keeping him under her spell meant keeping him amused. To that end, she put on constant theatrical productions at Versailles, in which she starred. She organized elaborate hunting parties, masked balls, and whatever else it would take to keep him diverted outside the bedroom. She became a patroness of the arts and an arbiter of taste and fashions for all of Paris. Her enemies at the court only grew in number with each new success, but Madame de Pompadour thwarted them in a total novel way for a king's mistress, with extreme politeness. Snobs who resented her for her low birth, she won over with charm and grace. Most unusual of all, she befriended the queen and insisted that Louis XV pay more attention to his wife and treat her more kindly. Even the royal family begrudgingly gave her their support. To crown her glory, the king made her a duchess. Her sway was felt even in politics. Indeed, she became the untitled minister of foreign affairs. In 1751, when Madame de Pompadour was at the height of her power, she experienced her worst crisis. Physically weakened by the responsibility of her position, she found it increasingly difficult to meet the king's demands in bed. This was usually the point at which the mistress would meet her in, struggling to maintain her position as her beauty theme. But Madame de Pompadour had a strategy. She encouraged the king to set up a kind of brothel, park ox serfs on the ground of the Versailles. The middle-aged king could have liaisons with the most beautiful young girls in the realm. Madame de Pompadour, don't be no Madame de Pompadour, precious. Madame de Pompadour knew that her charm and her political acumen had made her indispensable to the king. What did she have to fear from a 16-year-old who had none of her power and presence? Lose my place. What did it matter if she lost her position in the bedroom, as long as she remained the most powerful woman in France? To secure that position, she became still closer friends with the queen, with whom she started attending church. Although her enemies at the court conspired to have her toppled from her official position as king's mistress, the king kept her on, for he needed her calming effect. It was only when her part in a disastrous 7-year war drew much criticism on her that she slowly withdrew from public affairs. Madame de Pompadour, oh yeah, that's what they're talking about. Madame de Pompadour's health had always been delicate, and she died at the age of 43 in 1764. Her reign as mistress had lasted an unprecedented 20 years. She was regated by all. Wrote the Duke de Croix, for she was kindly and helpful to everyone who approached her. Interpretation: aware of the temporariness of her power, the king's mistress would often go into a kind of frenzy after capturing the king. She would try to accumulate as much money as possible to protect her after her inevitable fall. And damn, that sound familiar. Damn, that sound familiar. That sounds like what a lot of women do today. She would try to accumulate as much money as possible to protect her after her inevitable fall and to extend her reign as long as possible. She would be ruthless with her enemies in the court. Her situation, on the other hand, in other words, seemed to demand for her a greed and vindictiveness that would often be her undoing. Madame de Pompadour succeeded where all others had failed because she never pressed her good fortune. Instead of bullying the courtiers for her powerful position as a king's mistress, she tried to win their support. She never revealed the slightest hint of greed or arrogance. When she could no longer perform her physical duties as mistress, she did not fret at the thought of someone replacing her in bed. She simply applied some strategy. She encouraged the king to take young lovers, knowing that the younger and prettier they were, the less of a threat they posed, since they could not compare to her in charm and sophistication, and would soon bore the monarch. Success plays strange tricks on the mind. It makes you feel invulnerable, while also making you more hostile and emotional when people challenge your power. It makes you less able to adapt to circumstances. You come to believe your character is more responsible for your success than your strategizing and planning. Like Madame de Pompadour, you need to realize that your moment of triumph is also a moment when you have to rely on cunning and strategy all the more, consolidating your power base, recognizing the role of luck and circumstance in your success, and remaining vigilant against changes in your good fortune. It is the moment of victory when you need to play the courtier's game and pay more attention than ever to the laws of power. The greatest danger occurs at the moment of victory. Napoleon Bonaparte, 1769 to 1821. Keys to power. Power has its own rhythm and patterns. Those who succeed at the game are the one who control the pattern and vary them at will, keeping people off balance while they set the tempo. The essence of strategy is controlling what comes next, and the elation of victory can upset your ability to control what comes next in two ways. First, you own your success to the pattern that you are apt to try to repeat. You will try to keep moving in the same direction without stopping to see whether this is still the direction that is best for you. Second, success tends to go to your head and make you emotional. Feeling invulnerable, you make aggressive moves that ultimately undo the victory you have gained. The lesson is simple. The powerful vary their rhythms and patterns, changing course, adapt to circumstance, and learn to improvise. Rather than letting their dancing feet impel them forward, they step back and look where they are going. It is as if their bloodstream bore a kind of antidote to the intoxication of victory, letting them control their emotions and come to a kind of mental halt when they have obtained success. They steady themselves, give themselves the space to reflect on what has happened, examine the role of circumstance and luck in their success. As they say in riding school, you have to be able to control yourself before you can control the horse. You have to be able to control yourself before you can control the horse. Luck and circumstance always play a role in power. This is inevitable, and actually makes the game more interesting. But despite what you may think, good luck is more dangerous than bad luck. Bad luck teaches vulnerable lessons about patience, timing, and the need to be prepared for the worst. Good luck deludes you into the opposite lesson, making you think your brilliance will carry you through. Your fortune will inevitably turn, and when it does, you will be completely unprepared. According to Machiavelli, this is what undid Caesar Borgia. He had many triumphs, was actually a clever strategist, but had the bad luck to have good luck. He had a pope for a father. Then, when he had bad luck for real, his father's death, he was unprepared for it, and the many enemies he had made devoured him. The good luck that elevates you or seals your success brings the moment for you to open your eyes. The wheel of fortune will hurtle you down as easily as up. If you prepare for the fall, it is less likely to ruin you when it happens. Oh man, I'm tripping. Stumbling over my words. If you prepare for the fall, it is less likely to ruin you when it happens. People who have a run of success can catch a kind of fever. And even when they themselves try to stay calm, The people below them often pressured them to go past their mark and into dangerous waters. You have to have a strategy for dealing with these people. Simply preaching moderation will make you look weak and small-minded. Seeming to fail to follow up on a victory can lessen your power. When the Athenian general and statesman Pericles led a series of naval campaigns around the Black Sea in 436 BC, his easy triumphs inflamed the Athenians' desire for more. They dreamed of conquering Egypt, overrunning Persia, sailing for Sicily. On the one hand, Pericles reigned in these dangerous emotions by warning of the perils of hubris. On the other hand, he fed them by fighting small battles that he knew he could win, creating the appearance that they were preserving the momentum of success. The skill with which Pericles played the game is revealed by what happened when he died. The demagogues took over, pushed Athens into invading Sicily, and in one rash move destroyed an empire. The rhythm of power often requires an alteration of force and cunning. Too much force creates counter-reaction. Too much cunning, no matter how cunning it is, becomes predictable. Working on behalf of his master, the shogun Nobunaga, the great 16th century Japanese general and future emperor, Hideyoshi once engineered a stunning victory over the armies of the formidable General Yoshimada. The shogun wanted to go further, to take on and crush yet another powerful enemy. But Hideyoshi reminded him of the old Japanese saying, when you have won a victory, tighten the strings on your helmet. That's a good one. When you have won a victory, tighten the strings on your helmet. For Hideyoshi, this was the moment that for the shogun to switch from force to cunning and indirection, setting his enemies against one another through a series of deceptive alliances. In this way, he would avoid stirring up needless opposition by appearing over-aggressive. When you are victorious, then lie low and lure the enemy into inaction. These changes of rhythm are immensely powerful. People who go past the mark are often motivated by a desire to please a master by proving their dedication. But an excess of effort exposes you to the risk of making the master suspicious of you. On several occasions, generals under Philip of Macedon were disgraced and demoted immediately after leading their troops to a great victory. One more such victory Philip thought, and the man might become a rival instead of an underling. When you serve a master, it is often wise to measure your victories carefully, letting him get the glory and never making him uneasy. It is also wise to establish a pattern of strict obedience. No, not right now, my man. Not right now. You're going to have to learn how to pull it back yourself. Keep pulling it. Keep pulling it. Keep. People who go past the mark are often motivated by a desire to please a master by proving their dedication. But in excess of effort exposes you to the risk of making the master suspicious of you. On several occasions, generals under Philip of Macedon were disgraced and demoted immediately after leading their troops to a great victory. One more such victory, Philip thought, and the man might become a rival instead of an underling. When you serve a master, it is often wise to measure your victories carefully, letting him get the glory and never making him uneasy. It is also wise to establish a pattern of strict obedience to earn his trust. In the 4th century BC, a captain under the notoriously severe Chinese general Wu Qi charged ahead before a battle had began, and came back with several enemy heads. He thought he had shown his fiery enthusiasm, but Wu Qi was unimpressed. A talented officer, The general said with a sigh as he ordered the man beheaded, but a disobedient. Another moment when a small success can spoil the chances for a larger one may come if the master or superior grants you a favor. It is a dangerous mistake to ask for more. You will seem insecure. Perhaps you feel you did not deserve this favor and have to grab as much as you can when you have the chance, which might not come again. The proper response is to accept the favor graciously and withdraw. Any subsequent favors you should earn without having to ask for them. Finally, the moment you stop has great dramatic import. What comes last sticks in the mind as a kind of exclamation point. You got it. Good job. Good job. There is no better time to stop and walk away than after a victory. Keep going and you risk lessening the effect, even ending up defeat. As lawyers say of cross-examination, always stop with a victory. Image. Icarus falling from the sky. His father Daedalus fashions wings of wax that allow the two men to fly out of the labyrinth and escape the Minotaur. Elated by the triumphant escape and the feeling of flight, Icarus soars higher and higher until the sun melts the wings and he hurtles to his death. Authority. Princes and republics should content themselves with victory, for when they aim at more, they generally lose. The use of insulting language toward the enemy arises from the insolence of victory, or from the false hope of victory, which later misleads men as often in their actions as in their words. For when this false hope takes possession of the mind, it makes men go beyond the mark and causes them to sacrifice a certain good for an uncertain better. Niccolo Machiavelli, 1469 to 1527. Reversal. As Machiavelli says, either destroy a man or leave him alone entirely. Inflicting half punishment or a mild injury will only create an enemy whose bitterness will grow with time and who will take revenge. When you beat an enemy, then make your victory complete. Crush him into non-existence. When you beat an enemy, then make your victory complete. Crush him into non-existence. That's just like when the Most High told him to kill every man, woman, and children. Crush him into non-existence. In the moment of victory, you do not restrain yourself from crushing the enemy you have defeated, but rather than needlessly advancing against others, be merciless with your enemy, but do not create new enemies by overreaching. There are some who become more cautious than ever after a victory, which they see as just giving them more possessions to worry about and protect. Your caution after victory should never make you hesitate or lose momentum. Go ahead, good job. There you go. You made it. Good job. Your caution after victory should never make you hesitate or lose momentum, but rather act as a safeguard against rash action. On the other hand, momentum as a phenomenon is greatly overrated. You create your own success, and if they follow one upon the other, excuse me, it is your own doing. Belief in momentum will only make you emotional, less prone to act strategically, and more apt to repeat the same methods. Leave momentum for those who have nothing better to rely on. Man, I got a mind to go ahead and read the last law. Well, that was law 47. Do not go past the mark you aim for. In victory, learn when to stop. Judgment. The moment of victory is often the moment of greatest peril. In the heat of victory, arrogance and overconfidence can push you past the goal you have aimed for. And by going too far, you make more enemies than you defeat. Do not allow success to go to your head. There is no substitute for strategy and careful planning. Set a goal, and when you reach it, stop. Let me see. Law 48. No, I'm going to come back and read this one later. Law 48. Assume formlessness. Assume formlessness. I wonder if that's like how Bruce Lee say, be like water. Be like water. Excuse me. Judgment. By taking a shape, by having a visible plan, you open yourself to attack. Instead of taking a form for your enemy to grasp, keep yourself adaptable and on the move. Accept the fact that nothing is certain and no law is fixed. The best way to protect yourself is to be as fluid and formless as water. Like I said. Never bet on stability or lasting order. Everything changes. Yeah, we'll come back and read that later on tonight. We definitely gonna read that later on. So that was Law 47 of the 48 Laws of Power. We only got one more law to go. One more law to go, and we are finished with this big ass book. Ah! Man, it's a big ass book. At least for me, it is. 430 pages. It's big for me. But that was Law 47 of 48 Laws of Power. As soon as we finish reading the 48 Laws of Power, look, Devin, read it. I don't know, Devin, man. I think my I don't know if the live will last long enough for me to read it. So I'd have to end up coming back later anyway. I'd have to because I think it's gonna cut off at an hour. At an hour and 30. An hour and 30 the live will cut off. I think. I don't have it set up differently. And the amount of pages that I'm gonna have to read in here, I'm gonna need at least an hour. I guess I'm gonna need at least an hour. At least an hour to read. So I'll come back later on this afternoon, later on, and we'll read Law 48. But yeah, after I'm done, this will be the next one on the list to read. The Black Woman's Guide to Understanding the Black Man by Dr. Sherazad Ali. We'll come back and read this one. And we also have Urban Survival for the Years to Come by Dr. Sherazad Ali, and also Things Your Parents Should Have Told You. It's time for the Black youth to know the truth about their parents, America, and themselves. Let's see what this one says. How will we, the descendants of slaves, survive under the stress of the new administration? Urban survival for the years to come. We have no plan, no control, no money, no unity. What will we do? This one is, it says, a life instruction manual for Black teens and young adults ages 13 to 29 and older. Straight talk advice for African American youth about how to survive in America and live a decent life of aim, purpose, and dignity. Featuring information on life, work, love, money, babies, education, food, health, religion, sex, and racism. A Black youth survival kit. The Urban Survival Guy says, the time and what must be done. To avoid disaster, read and study how to handle the hard times coming our way. I definitely want to read this one. Learn how to stock food and water, have light and heat, communicate and stay well. Communicate and stay well. Be safe from danger. Dispose of human waste. Protect your family and keep your sanity. Prepare to do for self. There are no special provisions for us. We are the most at risk. Time for talk is over. This book is our plan B. We'll come back. We definitely gonna read all of these. But I think I want to read this one. This one I said I've been gonna read, so we're gonna read this one next after the last law, which we'll do later. But that's it, man. Shalom, man. Shallow out. Shallow out. Thank y'all for holding me down, staying with me. Devin, I'll get with you later, my brother. Shalom.